Let's go, everybody. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the LA Poker Roundup. It is May 22nd, 2024, and this is episode 39. And man, I am beat, I am happy, I am exhausted, but we got a great episode. We are wrapping up the World Series Poker Circuit event down at the Commerce. Right now, the Tournament of Champions is happening there, and we have got all the results and all of the happenings for you from that. Whew. We have some other stuff too, right?
Yeah, and I am also brain dead right now, but super happy, obviously about all the stuff that's been happening, and we're gonna cover it all.
Yeah. So as always, we'll start with our results. I've got a ton of results. There were 18 ring events. We only managed to get through 4 of them the last episode, so we've got a lot of winners to go through.
And then it's been a great showcase for women in poker while they make up, 10% or less of probably of any, field that we're ever in. They shipped a lot of rings this series.
Yeah, somewhere around like 25, 22%. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And then, let's take a look. As always, we're interested in how did our regs do? How did the locals do? How did we do, Derek?
Yeah, and the series overall has been an absolutely smashing success. Huge field, huge turnouts, lots of pros, amazing production, so much buzz and energy.
Yeah, it's amazing. We have so many comments on all of that. And some of the reasons that was such a success, we will point out some of the stuff. Like, for instance, I just got to keep going back to that soundbite. I wish I had just clipped it out so I could keep playing it when you're saying is like, well, Phil Hellmuth will never come back to LA. What are the chances? Phil was here promoting his butt off, doing great stuff for the community, trying to get things going and helping out the pro team and doing all sorts of things. So we'll go over what stuff the Commerce has been adding to the pro team's benefits, what kind of promotions are happening with the local poker celebs, and all of the great stuff that they've been doing to get all the eyeballs here, to get people excited.
Yeah, and then some big stuff that me and Ty want to talk about is a new payout structure. So there are some dramatic changes to the payout structure, but it's not just, for the WSOP circuit of commerce. It seems like this is what they're going to be doing at the World Series of Poker in the summer. So definitely pay attention to this one.
Yeah, absolutely. I noticed it right away in that first event when they put the numbers up. I couldn't believe I thought it was a mistake, but it wasn't. And it turns out we are the guinea pigs. I wonder, I'm okay with being the guinea pigs in the future, even if they want to keep doing this. But we will go through all the details. We'll let you know what has changed and what we think of it. And then we will end, as always, with the weekly roundup. Now, it's going to be a big episode this week, so let's just dive right in. A little spoiler alert on how the locals are doing. Let's take a look at Mr. Sean Yu. He's not just holding up the back of his hands, to show you that he's got beautiful, clean hands. He's holding up 9 fingers. Sean has 9 circuit rings now. Congratulations, Sean. He takes down event number 7 for his 9th circuit ring, and it got him into the Tournament of Champions today.
Yeah, what an absolute crusher. I think everybody has, unfortunately had to cross paths with Sean at the table at one time or the other if you play in LA, so it's not surprising this guy's got 9 rings.
Yeah, and if you want to be jealous, here's a look at his beautiful trophy case with his 9 rings and his one bracelet, which happens to be, I believe, from a prior Tournament of Champions. So he's trying to get his 2nd Tournament of Champions bracelet right now as we speak.
Yeah, I'll be happy when I just add a 2nd ring to that one lonely ring back there.
I'll be happy when I get a ring. Jeez, at this rate, I'm ready to go drive over to some Run Good stops or something to get me a ring.
Right.
Also in this top 8, or also in this final table rather, we have one of the Commerce pros, Xavier Kayablu. He was taking some heat in the coverage for playing super tight and eating his sandwich in a very Hellmuthian way, but he got 2nd place to Sean in this, so way to go there. 3rd place, Sonny Wong. 4th, Jason Spurgetis. Omar Bravo, David Brookshire, Albin Bayo got 7th, one of the Bayo brothers there. And 8th, Mark Spitarelli, another local reg. See him all the time. Congratulations, Mark. And then for 9th, Alan Pinchasi. Not familiar with some of those names, but congratulations to all those guys.
Congrats, everyone.
Just as something to keep note of, keep in the back of your head, I want to mention a few other names I just noticed. Down here, 16th, Christina Gollin. She wins the opener and gets 16th here. And then 17th, Kwok Lei, foreshadowing. So let's move on to the next event here that I have results for, event number 9. So event number 9 was won by what looks like an out-of-towner. I think that's the Spain flag. Adrian Galipienso. So congratulations, Adrian, for getting a ring there. Second place, though, look at this. These housewarming guys, it's not a flash in the pan. Mr. Big John Solis got second place again. That has to, I mean, that's awesome, but that has to hurt. You get third place, you get second place. And then look at here, number 3, friend of the pod, Robert Gill. We're going to see his name a couple more times as well, foreshadowing. And then rounding out our final table here, Preston Patz, Ryan Fonsum, Jana Helmig, Kim Long Lav, Andrew McElroy, and Tony Fennell for the unofficial final table. You know, it's strange. I've been noticing there's a couple gaps in some of these results. This one just skipped 8 and went straight to 10. So interesting. Now, 12, Franklin. Congratulations, Frank, getting 12th there. Another friend of the pod and another incredibly high volume super reg grinder. And he certainly got his. We'll come back to that one for sure.
Yeah,
He certainly got his.
what a series.
Yeah, he had quite a series. We'll detail that in more later on. Event number 10. Another 400 was Ronnie Sewell wins. This is him. They didn't have the results posted for this. I'll check again, but he was the only one they had the name of. So congratulations to Ronnie Sewell. They do have the final table listed, just not the order. So on this final table, we see our Girish Renkar. Old Gary was in this final table.
Nice.
Yep, and let's see, what was this guy's name again? Ronnie. Okay, Francisco Garcia, Davis Kobayer. I believe that's another major reg. That, in fact, that I don't know why it's DNR, but that did not report. I guess that might be one of the Commerce Pros if I'm right. Mitchell Camadra, Jacob Miller, Art Reynoso, Jimmy Guerrero, Julian Andre, and Basil Amari for the rounding out the unofficial final table there. So congratulations to all of you guys. Event number 11, another $400 no limit event. First place here, I'm not familiar with that flag, but Bernardo Neves. Not sure about the flag, but this guy, he just won a bracelet in World Series of Poker Paradise this year. So he just got his first bracelet this year down in Paradise, and he is here. I was just watching him on one of the day one coverages, bullying his table near the bubble, near the cash bubble. So he got himself a ring. I'm assuming he cashed and did well in the main, so he's having quite a couple month run here after his first bracelet. Way to go. Also in this top table, you'll notice Mr. Sean Deeb got third. Second was Robert Tichar. Fourth, Preston Patz. I think I just read that name a second ago. Fifth, Edmund Sogolakian. Sixth, Tony Nguyen Lei. Seventh, Brian Moses. I believe I know Brian. I believe he's a reg as well. One of the local guys likes to play. I think he likes to play a lot of PLO cash, but he plays in these tournaments as well. So congratulations, Brian. Christopher Rose in 8th and Corey Biddle in 9th. So way to go, all of you guys. Eduardo Ramos. I wonder if that's Eddie the Fun Player playing over there at Lucky Lady. I think that might be his name. So congrats on that. And John Solis in here in 18th again. So
wow, nice series by John Solis.
Yeah, John he was putting up numbers. We might be starting to see a lot of him moving forward.
Guys, I mean, apparently he hadn't been really playing any tournament poker at all. So amazing.
Oh, this was the the Neves. I must have wanted to put these a little closer. So this is the Neves guys. They talk about the things I just mentioned. He is from Portugal, I guess, and yep. So I already said all that. Let's move on. Just a picture of the guy. Event 12, the seniors event, the second seniors event. This was won by James Kim. Congratulations, James Kim. No picture, so I'm not quite sure if I recognize that guy or not. The final table for this event was Gerald Nakash, Florentino Montero, Dave Kakiani, Mary Jacob, Jose Morales, Panos Harutunian, Franco Cupello, James Kim, Brian Montgomery, and Claudio Di Giarero. So way to go, all of you. Alex Massman won the 1K. Congratulations to Alex. That was one that you were in, I believe. If we go over here, let me see if I brought the results up for that. I don't see them, but I believe you finished in this guy pretty highly, right?
Yeah, I finished 9th place in this one. Definitely was really good grind.
Yep. So we'll come
to
back
get all the
around.
way there. Yeah.
We'll come back around to that story, but you kind of got gypped. They didn't list the final table in the coverage for this one. Rob Gill,
Yeah.
once again, though, he started day 2 as the chip leader, so another one he did pretty well in.
Yeah.
And then I need to go back to an event we did not cover. The Monster Stack was still going on. First place here, Mr. David the Dragon Pham. Congratulations. He comes in and just wins like everything. Oh, yeah, they didn't have good updates. Just like wins everything. This is the one that I had bagged for last week when we were doing our show. We were in between that. So I finished 10th, unofficial final table. Apparently they don't have a flag for me, so that's great. I don't know where that info comes from.
You're homeless.
Yeah, it's weird. They used to, the last couple things I saw, they listed me as Philadelphia, and now they're listing me as nothing. So I'm going to really have to talk with those guys. Elbin Bayo, 11th. We mentioned his name a second ago. You'll notice in this final table, though, some very familiar names. Let's start at the top here. Paul Martin, Leah Nimi, another mega reg grinder from here. Firgat Faiz Rachmanov. 5th, Jared Griner. We're going to say his name a couple more times for sure. 6th, Ryan Salunga, the mythical Ryan Salunga. 7.
I've not put in too many hours with him to be able to call him mythical anymore.
All right. 7, Gokhan Tanju. 8th, Zhao Jiang. Oh, they busted on the same hand, I remember. I remember seeing that. They managed to bust at the same hand. And then 9th was William Fritz. So that was our final table there. Sam Weiss also cashed this thing in 16th, another local legend.
Yeah.
And my buddy Jody Dunfield got 19th. Just want to shout out to Jody. I met Jody in the Mystery Bounty day one, sat next to him the entire day long. We were the original at the table, and we stayed there the whole day. Super nice guy from New Brunswick, Canada, and he's here for the TOC, so hopefully he will come back again next year, win himself another ring. But looking forward, some of the nice guys from out of town we have been seeing around because of the TOC. Let me see. I don't want to jump. Okay. So the next event here is the 6-Max. The 6-Max was won by Dunwok Moon, Pennsylvania guy. I believe Philadelphia. So if I still was on the East Coast, I'd probably be butting heads with this fella a lot. He actually got 2nd place down at the Flip and Go at the World Series of Poker Paradise this year. So he's having quite a year as well.
Nice.
So way to go. Let me see if I have. Yep, we have some of the other tables. So once again, it's kind of strange. 1 and 2 were not listed here, but it starts at 3. So rest of this final table, congratulations, Narek Panian. Paul Martin, we just read his name a second ago. Oh, is Paul? No, it says Paul Martin, the fellow with the mustache. That's Carnero. Nope. 5, David Mann. 6, Ivan Sakharov. 7, Anthony Donna. 8, Yulia Lishikina. 9, Paul Richardson. That name sounds familiar. And 10, unofficial final table, Tofel Groza. So congrats to all of you.
Congratulations.
Yep. And then here we are in event 15. Very familiar face. We've shown Mr. Kwok and given him his flowers many times in the show so far. So congratulations on getting your ring. I believe this is I think this might be your first ring. His first ring. So congrats. He gets it in the 400 event that had 293 entries. Let's see. The final table had another familiar name. Look at this. Sean Deeb came in as the chip leader, or the second in chips on this thing. So the final table, I don't think they have. Let me check if the results are listed. Oh, I will read them in order. No, except for 2 and 3 are once again not listed. So Jose Fibla, Nancy Matson. Congratulations, Nancy. She's playing all Nancy. The time around here in LA. Local favorite. 6th, Edward Cruz. 7, Sean Deeb. 8th, Farzin Akhtar. 9, Jay Smith. 10, Shro Lempest. And then 11, Leonimi. We see that name again.
Nice.
I don't recognize the other name. So, and then just who did I miss on their final table? Also was, I guess, Pragadish Kumar Rajavel and another name. I'm not sure which one was missing, but congrats to all them. And interesting, you see Sean Deeb on another one of these final tables. He was trying hard to get his ticket to that Tournament of Champions. I don't think he got a ring or bracelet this last year. The high roller.
I mean, that shows you how much rings matter.
Yeah, absolutely. We love these trophies. This is why we play tournaments for the glory. Yeah. The money comes and goes, right? Trophies are forever. Event 16, the high roller. congratulations to Ruben. No, Roar. What's his first name? Robert Roar. Congratulations to Robert Roar. He won 126,000 in the high roller. We had looks like 295 entries for the high roller for the 2K event. That's great. And
Yeah.
apparently this score does more than double Robert Roar's total lifetime earnings. So congratulations doubly for that.
No kidding.
Yeah, this final table was Ruben Chappell, Richard Gaylor, Tyler Brown, Jason Hickey, James Hughes, Marcos Extercotter. I believe I saw him in the coverage as well earlier. Wesley Hammond, James Colopy. That sounds like a name I know. Is he a local or is he a pro? Do you recognize that name? James
I
Colopy.
do.
And then
James Colby is a super pro who was
Super
at my
Pro.
table
Ah,
for,
okay.
yeah,
Yep, I
and
knew
he's
the name.
yeah, he's had a lot of success actually in LA, but then also just all around.
And
Yeah.
then rounding out
And
that final table, Phil Locke. Been seeing Phil playing everything this series. Good to see him pick up a final table here.
yeah, Robert Rohr, the winner, was actually the person who knocked me out of the tournament, and I'll talk a little bit about that hand.
All right.
Been
Yep.
around
Derek
for
had a lot of heartbreak this weekend, but I think that he. Well, we'll talk about our weekends in a little bit. All right, we're getting close to the end of the ring event results. So, Zhe Hao Jin, he won his biggest score of his career and a ring in one of the last 400 events, the double stack, and he beat a final table here that included Hong Kong Kim, Wen Ye, David Cooter, Shane Friedlander, Britton Purvis, another local that is, he pulled a very nice mystery bounty in the mystery bounty up the win earlier this year. We see Britton playing all the time. Congrats, Britton. Husep Jazian, Jesus Bertoli, this is him, Morgan Pettis, and then Polly Wu. So that was I believe this was the penultimate or the third from last event. Congratulations to Zhe Hao Jin. And then, is this it's not a repeat. This is Kwok winning a second ring in a week.
unbelievable.
So he won
Unbelievable.
event 15, I think I said, and now he wins event 18, the $600 closer. This closer had 522 entries.
Unbelievable. And the reason why it's unbelievable is because it was the middle of the week.
It was the middle of the week. I think it started did it start later in the day? And it was
Yeah,
a one day. I mean,
one day.
this
It's
is
insane,
the kind of numbers. I mean, it's gonna
right?
take the Gardens is running a 300K this weekend that we'll be talking about. Very excited for it, but it's gonna take them 4 flights to get to this. You know,
Right.
it's
Yeah.
crazy. But
This is,
congratulations to Kwok. What a freaking week he's having. Kwok,
yeah, man.
what is that? 49 and then 20. So he's just racking up like 70 grand in wins with 1,000 in buy-ins. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah. And he's
So
doing this in big, big fields, right? So I think that's
yeah,
always impressive to be able to get through big fields, especially with so many people like ring chasing.
yep,
There's so many, and that's what makes these events kind of fun, is because you obviously have all the LA landmines, but then you add a whole bunch of out of town landmines, but then you add in a whole bunch of super pros like Sean Deeb is sitting in your $400 tournament,
yeah,
Jim Colopy and Dan Shack and like Mike Rocco, right? He was around here playing a whole bunch. So
hmm
just yeah, amazing.
yeah, for sure. So rounding out his final table on this closer was Jeremy Drury, James Lisi, Anthony Esky, David Yui or Yue or you, I don't know, Jorge Galarza, Sotavong Bruno, Saul Caldari, Matt Schultz, and Samuel Leon. Don't recognize many of those names, so it sounds like he had to battle a lot of visiting players.
Yeah, good job.
All right. So that was all of the kind of side events. Let's circle back around now to the main event. The main event of this series drew 1,467 entries. The prize pool, we were hopeful it would hit 2 million. We're pretty confident, but we were, I don't know if I would have put money down on it. Man, it smashed. It absolutely smashed.
Yeah, unbelievable.
2.2 million in the prize pool. Congratulations to Jessica Vierling. She had an amazing run, and she just played great, had great cards, and smashed her way through the last couple days, from what I understand.
Yeah,
She wins 328,000 for her largest career score. She gets her ring. She gets her entry in the TOC. There she is with her service dog. I forget the name of the dog, but a couple other couple of her friends celebrating there. So way to go. And this is, I mean, this there's so much about the whole event that we'll talk about in a second. Let me just finish going through the results. But this just capped an amazing, amazing series. I can't think of anything but considering this just a smashing success for Commerce, for the World Series, for GG, for everybody. The top 10 players here was Jessica Vierling in first. Second, Christian Roberts. I played with him a bit during the Mystery Bounty. He very good player, very very strong player from what I could tell. Third, Cooper Feltham. Fourth, James Pilpa, another local. This is his biggest score by far. Congratulations,
Nice.
James. Great run. Way to go. 5, Stephen Shara. 6, Amit Shah. 7, Edward Pack. 8th, Jared Griner. Seeing him everywhere. Another final table here for Jared Griner. 9th, Johnny Bromberg. He used to be an LA guy. He's now a Florida guy. Just comes in to try to take our money, it seems like. So way to go, Johnny. And 10th, Audley Harrison.
Audley Harrison.
Yeah, he's always playing all the stuff local. Great to have the table. Congratulations, Audley. So that
Audley, for people that don't know, Audley was a former professional boxer, so I like that I get to fist bump a professional boxer every time I see him. And also want to give a shout out to Amit in sixth place, who is actually a fan of the pod, and I didn't know that. And he came up and introduced himself to me. So awesome score, Amit. He actually said that it was our podcast and talking about this that actually like kind of made him come out and want to play the main event. And he ended up taking sixth place. So
fantastic,
good job, man.
Yeah, way to go, Amit. And we take a very reasonable 1% cut. It's fine. No, congratulations, way to go, man, way to go. So that wraps up the circuit ring results that we have. We gave out 18 rings. Tournament Champions is going on right now. So there's so much to talk about. It's like where to start. Where I want to start real quick. Oh, someone's in the chat.
In the chat, we got SLC saying that Deep hated that dog and he got snarky on Twitter about it. So maybe we can take a little bit of time talking about dogs a little bit later on in the pod.
Yeah. I had it on our list of topics, but I feel like we're gonna be like 3 hours today if we go through it.
We got a lot of stuff to cover.
Yeah, we may have to push that. Honestly, I've had that. There's as everyone knows, this is LA. People here love their dogs more than they love everything. So we have a lot of dog stories from the casino. We push that to another one. But if you have the tweet, we'll have to search for that and save it for then.
And good job to Filipino James, who said he booked a win in the Landmark Mega last Friday. So good job, man.
Oh, awesome. Way to go. So where to start with this dissecting this? Let's start with kind of one of the really good feel-good stories. I kind of want to just start with, we mentioned it, the 3 of the first 4 events were won, or of the first 6 or 7 events were won by women, and then the main event being won in a convincing fashion by a woman. This is awesome. I mean,
it is.
When they announced the schedule, I mentioned this before, there was no women's event on it because of California, and it's like, dang, that sucks. But I don't know if that motivated them or if it's just luck or what. But wow, they came out in force and they just crushed things. This is amazing. And for me personally, I think this is awesome for poker. I think this is great advertising. I think this is a great thing to be able to put out there. I really hope this helps motivate more women to come out and play. I know the groups like the Pocket Queens and like all the other groups are posting and they're blowing up on Twitter about it. Just it's amazing. I love it.
Yeah, I mean, if you ever just kind of walk past a women's event, if you're a male, I mean, it's like the sense of community that they have is amazing. They're all like so supportive of each other, and I imagine that all these groups like the Pocket Queens are doing like an amazing job just uplifting everyone, teaching them, coaching them. I think women are generally way better now than maybe they were like 5 or 6 years ago, and you can see this, right? Jessica went through a freaking stacked main event to ship the thing all the way through, and some really good players down all the way down to the final table, 18, 27. So unbelievable showing.
Yeah. About the women's event, I had been kind of joking with some of the commerce people, whoever I could talk to, and I mentioned, I think it was back when we were talking to maybe Amanda, I said, hey, I see there's no women's event, but I have some experience, giving guys a hard time about playing in these things. I think Derek and I would be willing to set up a live stream right next to registration, just to talk with any guys that might find their way in the line. That might help. It might help. But they turned it down. It's okay though. I actually sat next to a lady who played in the last the last ladies event that the Gardens ran. Thea was her name, and she remembered that I had gone there that day actually to play some other stuff. And before my event started, I actually walked around the room and kind of mock interviewed all the guys that registered for the event and tried to give them a hard time. And she said she actually appreciated that.
Yeah.
They thought it was good that those guys were getting at least, it wasn't much, but at least it was some sort of, you know,
Discomfort. Yeah.
yeah, at least somebody was saying, "Hey guys, that this isn't cool. What the heck are you doing here? Explain yourselves."
Right.
So I
Right.
appreciate that. It wasn't just a comedy gag. That they did appreciate that a little bit. So yeah, that's amazing. I really hope that opens more doors. I hope that that gets a lot of press. I've been
Yeah.
seeing it throwing around Twitter. I hope it gets in a lot of the headlines. I really want that to be a big plus, and it'd be great if that just keeps going through. Maybe we just have stronger women players here in LA than they do in other parts of the country. Maybe we have all these
Uh,
study
I
groups. We have all these
I
everything.
I honestly think a lot of these communities and study groups is because it's so focused on like women and again because of that sense of community they have, I really do think like it's accelerating their education a lot. So yeah, it's fantastic. I love just seeing more and more women not only in tournaments but shipping them, right? Like
Yeah.
you guys totally deserve it.
Yep. So speaking of our local ladies, though, just our local folks in general, some friends of the pod, some of our friends in the in the red group, I think we had a very respectable showing. I think we really showed that LA is here to play. A lot of
Yeah.
people, just starting with the Commerce Pro Team guys that we know, Rudy and Locke, Luke bagged up one of the big stacks for day one of the main event. They had, we
Yeah.
mentioned some of those Commerce Pros in the final tables there of those dailies. But just from a more personal point, some of our friends, Jesse, our buddy in the chat there, Jesse Delgado, he may not have had a great series, but he did just win an event down at the Gardens. So he's
Nice.
already picking it, he's already picking it back up and getting on the other side of that variance. And I really want to take a look at this picture. I mean, look at this freaking picture by Frank. What
Yeah,
the
man,
heck?
what an unbelievable series from this guy. I mean, it's just these many of these are just like pretty big field events that he played in, and to keep getting top 18 is super hard in any of them, and he did it. Like,
Yeah.
how many times is it? Like six? It's
Yeah, because
crazy.
even like I think maybe there were the two mixed events, but then all of the 400 days, all the 1 days, those were many hundreds, and then these
Yeah,
90s, these 70s, those were the big main event. These were the mega field events. So I mean, he played
yeah.
13 events and he cashed 8 times, and these aren't the bubbles for the most part. So
Right, right. This is very deep, and I mean, these are extreme high variance events, especially the bigger ones, because of all the landmines that we mentioned, and also a lot of tough pros just splintered in there, and Frank just navigated it all. So he's definitely doing a lot of stuff right. You don't get lucky and do all of that in one series.
yeah, I played with Frank for a while on my day 1C. We both lived through the table and then we split up. I think he cashed the main, so he must have done better at his new table than I did. There's
Yeah,
there's Frank in the chat. That's right. All the blasters. You know how to live through the blasters, man. And then
yeah.
we
This
have
man
our
is just tapping out every single iota of luck from that black hoodie, man.
and then we had our buddy Rob Gill, who had a fantastic series. I'm not gonna blow
Yeah,
up his spot here, but he was telling us how good of a series he was having, and we mentioned his name a few times. He made several final tables. He
yeah,
had a very profitable series. It looked like he was cashing. I think I tried to figure out if he was cashing what he said was bullets or events, but it looks like he cashed like 60% of bullets. I mean, that's
yeah.
crazy with a
That's
couple
crazy.
final tables. What a fantastic
Yeah,
everything but the ring, right? What a fantastic showing by Rob.
yeah. Good job, Rob.
And then we had, of course, like Jared Griner. We mentioned his name. I think he made 2 final tables and plus, right? So he just also everything but the ring, right?
Yeah.
So and then Mr. Magoo, right? So even Mike Liang came back and bagged a nice stack on day one. The guy we said we were talking about him winning the Lodge Championship Series. He came back and he bagged something nice. So man, it was just whew. LA
Yeah.
was representing. LA was representing.
Yeah. And we had, our usual suspects, Salzburg and Sohail both went pretty deep in the main. So yeah, just a lot of really great showings from everyone.
Yeah, but how did we do, Derek? We had a little side bet going. We had a whole thing going in the Twitterverse here. How did we do? my weekend, my series ended a little earlier than yours, so let me just quick lead off. So when last we left, I was coming into day two of the Monster Stack with seventh or eighth in chips, and well, that's roughly where I finished. I finished in 10th, so I was pretty happy with that. It was a 1,000-person field, got 10th place. I made some mistakes when we got down near 18th in last two
Hmm.
tables, and then I went card dead right after that, punished immediately. Um, and I tell you what, it was really odd. This particular table draw was very strange. We had a redraw at two tables, and it just was the most lopsided table draw I'd ever seen. It was so weird. But
I
that
saw it.
happens.
I remember I
So
walked by and I was like, "That's
yeah,
ridiculous."
I,
Yeah,
I I could not have made the table draw more lopsided if I tried. I don't think
yeah,
um, but that's fine. That's how it works, right? So I got 10th there. Pretty happy with that. And then I
yeah.
believe so that was it for my caches. So I had a min cache in the mystery bounty, and then I got 10th in the monster stack. I only played 5 events total, so it's not bad from a
Yeah.
caching percentage. It's bad from a bullets percentage, but not bad from a
Yeah.
caching percentage. So I'm pretty neutral. I'm okay with this. I wish I got to play more, but you kind of picked up right when I left off. You were complaining last week you didn't get to play at all that first weekend, and then
Yeah.
as soon as I stopped playing, you kind of just played. Oh, let me just quick comment on my main event. So my main event, I played day 1B and day 1C, and my God, I don't think I've ever felt as dealt out of an event for so long as I did during this main event. Uh, for day 1A, my table was very aggressively. So I played with Sean Deeb a bit on day one, not 1A, 1B. I played with Sean Deeb for a bit, and our table had a lot of kind of felt like internet players on it with a lot of three bets, a lot of three
Mm.
bet folds going
Yeah.
on. So
That's
that
annoying.
really messed with my typical style. So I had to tighten it back up to what would be more of a normal style. But in doing that, I just could not play hands. I just wasn't getting any hands. I was not connecting with my hands. It was like I was just completely dealt out. So I more or less just bled out and died there. Day two, I doubled up on like the first orbit, doing my normal thing, and my table was good. I'm sitting with a lot of the local folks, and once again, I just could not hit so much as middle pair all freaking day long. It felt like I just couldn't get anything happening. Couldn't. I was like, just got dealt out. It just felt like I just wasn't there. It was awful.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's very strange. And you know me, I'm one of those LA blasters. If you give me even like a
Hmm.
halfway decent distribution
Yeah.
of cards, so
You
it's very
you will
frustrating in
play
that way.
a wide range. So if you're not playing hands, that's very, very card dead.
Yeah. So that more or less ended my circuit. After that, I couldn't play the seniors event on Sunday, and I didn't wasn't taking off more days if I were to day day two the 1K. So
Yeah.
basically, we
Yeah.
tagged out at that point.
We did. We
Yeah.
did. But I mean, finishing 10th in that monster stack is pretty impressive because I mean, that was a humongous field for what it was for a midweek tournament. And then obviously, um, very, very good players going down the stretch, although unfortunately they all ended up at your table in the
Yeah.
final two tables. But there was a lot of really, really good players, right? So that's a pretty impressive showing.
All right. So then,
Um,
how'd things go for you, man?
yeah, so there was like that min cash that I had in the house warming, and then after that I actually didn't really play until the main, and I played day 1A and 1C. Um, and both days were kind of like in the depths of how things were going in the depths of my downswing. It was like that. There were like 3 or 4 times I flopped a set and like lost all those hands to some crazy like runner insanity,
Oh,
right?
oh yeah, yeah.
Um,
But just quick, you reminded me. Just one last story. This basically sums up how my day ones went. Okay, the times I did get good hands. The very first time I got dealt aces on day 1C, I got a walk. First walk of the day. The second time I got dealt aces, was the very next hand actually in the small blind, and someone did jam into me for like 8 big blinds, and that was probably the second or third biggest pot I won all day. I
that's
mean,
unbelievable.
it's like if I
Yeah,
get a hand, every time I won a hand, it was against someone who had somehow fewer chips than me, who hadn't been playing all day.
yeah.
So
You're
that
waiting
pretty
for
much
that.
sums it up.
You got your 1 and 2 20, 2 hands in a row, and
Yeah.
didn't make anything out of it,
Yep.
right? Yeah.
Yep. All right. So sorry. Go ahead.
Um,
Sorry. Go ahead.
no, but I mean that was it. It was just a whole bunch of extreme run bad for those 2 days across 4 bullets. But then the very last bullet I did punt against our beloved main event champion, Daniel Weinman, where He been playing. He is just a very extreme, like tight, solid player, and you can tell that he's capable of way more, but he just doesn't pull the trigger. And he again, who we keep talking about the Sohails and the Salzburgs and the Grinders and how they play. Like Wyman is like that. Like he's capable of way more, but he just doesn't do it. So this player who was very short limped under the gun. I had sevens like under the gun +2, and I was like, you know what, I don't want to get limp jammed on, so I just flatted. One other player flatted, and then Wyman squeezed out of the big blind, and I'm like, God damn it, right? Like I know that you're playing kind of tight, but I know you're also capable. You're also capable of leveraging like your image, but I can't like fold sevens here. So under the gun folded, I called. Other player folded. He ended up c betting on a board of like 10. No, it was queen 9 8, something like that. Um, he ended up leading out small. I decided I would just flat in case, I was up against like an ace king type hand, but I was pretty much going to give up on the turn. Then on the turn, the board paired an 8. He checked and I checked. Then the river was a queen, which basically counterfeited my pocket sevens. He checked again, and I was like, well, what do I do now? So of course, I think we all know what I would do now, and then I just pulled the trigger and I went for the jam. And he actually tanked for a super long time. I felt like it was a bad jam because I probably didn't have enough queens in my flatting range in that kind of spot. It's like only a couple of ace queens, and then would I really have played trip eights like this on the turn? So I think that you have to be really careful against top tier pros when you're pulling. Like sometimes I can get away with some of that with players that are a little bit less experienced, but I don't think I can with him.
Yeah.
I mean, he had king, so I don't think he was probably ever folding. He probably had just had to process all the information correctly.
Yeah.
And then he busted me from the tournament. But yeah, that's how I busted from the main. But other than that, like sort of moderate spew. The rest of the three bullets were just absolutely brutal, and I think you even said something about like one of the dealers.
Yeah,
said you.
Oh yeah, so that's another story then. So, one of the dealers. So we for day 1C we sat table next to each other table wise, right? I could see you from my seat, and then I looked up and you're gone at one point. I'm like, oh dang it, what happened to Derek? And then maybe 2.5 hours later, dealer comes to my table, and one of our regular dealers, I can't remember what her name is, but she's really nice woman, and she looks at me, she's like, oh, your partner's I feel he shouldn't play when I deal. I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, oh, I wish he had just gotten up and taken a walk when I was dealing. He should have just left for the half hour because lately I deal. I'm like, you've been killing him. Like, oh yeah, it was bad. So even the dealers are feeling bad for you.
Funny. I'll never say something like that, but I can actually kind of at this point there's some pattern recognition. She's an amazing woman, obviously.
Yeah, she's a great dealer. Yeah,
control over the cards, but she's been giving it to me pretty.
Yeah, it's bad when the dealers even think you shouldn't play during their down. That it's bad.
Yeah.
And then the other funny story though is about an hour after that. You were gone from the table, but about an hour after that, all of a sudden your table shouts, floor, what's going on? Come over here, what's going on? I'm looking over, I'm like, what's happening? And the floor starts walking over, I'm like, hey, what's going on? And the guy says, 2-6 of diamonds on the flop. And I'm like,
yeah.
What? I'm like, Derek played at that table for like 2.5 hours. This is like 4.5 hours into the tournament, and you're saying there's 2-6 of diamonds on the flop. What the heck is going on? And then I immediately asked you, like, did one of those sets you got sucked out on, did you have sixes?
And I had a set of sixes in one of the hands that I lost a huge pot in when somebody turned a gutter.
Yeah.
And you know what? I think in the haze, it's possible that I had a 6 of diamonds in my hand. There's 6 diamonds board, and I just didn't notice and threw my cards.
Right, can you imagine that? Oh,
right.
That could have saved you a buy-in.
Right. But yeah, so like main event didn't go very well. But then after that, I think the next day, I think I did decide to play the 400. No, actually, no, I didn't. I think I would just showed up to play the 1K. Maybe after the main, I regged the 400 and didn't do anything. But then the next day, I played the 1K. Everything has been such a blur, but I felt like day one went pretty well on the 1K. I ended up bagging, a decent stack, and then on day two, had a pretty tough table. It was like Jim Colopy, Mike Rocco, Dan Shack, and then this other pro named Giuseppe, who's like a pretty good like Vegas pro. So yeah, it was a pretty tough table. But I was able to kind of navigate my way. I got a little bit short. I was down around like actually 5 big blinds in the bubble, and I was just sort of hanging on for dear life. And because it was like a uh, pretty well structured tournament, but also we accidentally started with 40K chips. I mean, I'm not sure if people knew this, but oh no, this is, I'm sorry, I'm talking about the high roller instead of the 1K. Things
Yeah,
are getting
yeah.
blurred together. But then on the 1K, I was able to navigate my way to the final table. I finished actually with the top 6 chip stack. Now I remember. In the 1K, I finished with the top 6 chip stack on day 1. Went into day 2. Pretty much just sort of maintained my stack all the way through up until the final table. Some good things happened, some bad things happened. But then, once we got around the final table, a lot of crazy things happened. I'm not going to get into all the specific hands. A couple of hands with Rob Kill that just went kind of like absolutely nuts. Then a couple of hands against this very good Australian woman player who was on a couple of the feature tables. I got into a couple of big hands with her as well. She pulled one of the craziest bluffs I've ever seen to bust from the tournament. I could not believe she pulled the bluff. I don't think anybody at the table believed that she had bluffed that hand.
Did you
But it was
say Australian player?
yeah.
Was it the one who was in the feature table? Kind of tall,
Yes.
skinny, long hair. Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
She was very, very, very good player. Actually, it felt like a very sort of feel player, but just very, very good.
Yeah.
And
According to the coverage, they said she was playing bar tournaments just a couple years ago and has switched to pro pretty recently. So
yeah, just unbelievable. So yeah, then down to the final table, I ended up just losing a flip ace king against like 7. Somebody raised on the gun with 7s. I jammed with ace king and then busted in 9th. So a little bit of a disappointing showing. I was kind of hoping that I was able to navigate my way a little bit further. But I'm yeah, but happy to have made the final table.
when I was checking in on your updates and getting the updates, I told you it's totally okay if you get 10th. I'm rooting for you to get 10th, and you just had to go and finish 9th because
I had to squeak that 9th in.
Yeah, because my event was bigger. So if we both finished 10th and then just stopped, I win the bet.
Was that? I actually didn't do the math with that. Was that what would have happened?
That's why, because you didn't have any points at that point, and the only points according to your system that I had were from that 10th.
Right.
So we'll talk about this later because there's been from Frank and Rob, there's been some dissent that maybe we should be using the other play of the year system.
But the system is way better. It was just ease of use.
I know. Yeah, I know.
There are a lot of players, but I would take that guy's system in a heartbeat.
We'll get to that in a minute, hopefully. But I like that system a lot. But anyways, congrats. Yeah, I'm just saying, if you're gonna finish 9th, you might as well finish 10th. I mean, you should win the thing or finish 10th. Is all I'm saying.
Right.
Anyway, so then you hopped in the high roller.
Yeah. Then I was actually just gonna not play anymore, but then the high roller was over like almost 200 players at that point, which is kind of crazy.
It got almost 300 players, as we said.
I can't skip this thing. And then the very first bullet, I went super run bad again, just like the main. Terrible first bullet. And I was like, well, I don't think I'm gonna fire. I actually was like, while I was playing, I'm only gonna fire one bullet and that's it. And then by the time I had busted, it was like 200 players already. And I was like, okay, well, I can't not fire.
I mean, first prize ended up being what? Right. What did I read? 140, 180.
It was almost like 600K or something for like the total prize pool.
Yeah.
And it was 120K for first place. So I actually fired a second bullet with only like 45 minutes left in the day. I was able to get my 40K up into 60K. But here's the interesting thing: is the high roller was supposed to start with a 30K stack, but they accidentally started us with a 40K stack.
But so not all of you, right? Because wasn't Rudy saying he only got 30K?
Yeah. I think Rudy regged on day 2, so I'm guessing that they gave the day 2 players 30K, which is kind of
brutal. Yeah,
that's like super unfair.
That's actually really. If you start making that mistake, you got to keep making it the whole way through. You
got to make it all the way through.
That's got to be one of the That's one of the black eyes. One of the few missteps that I can remember or that I know of here.
Yeah. I mean, if that is really what's happened. I mean, that felt like, that felt like what had actually happened. But in any case. They eliminated a dinner break on day 2, I guess, to make up for the fact that they started us with 25% more chips.
And did anyone complain?
No, of course not.
Of course not. Nobody wants a dinner break at Commerce.
Nobody wants a dinner break. So spinning it up from 40 to 6K was pretty good. And day 2, that was when I had that stack table with, like Rocco and
Right.
Colopy, and I was actually doing fine up until right, maybe around like 60 people, and we cashed like 45. And then I went super card dead all the way through and nothing. And I didn't really play any hands or do anything bad. I just ended up just like chipping all the way down
Hmm.
until 5 big blinds. I was able to hang through the bubble, cashed, and then I basically won an all in with jacks against a razor on the button with a king six suited, with like 10 big blinds, and then after that, this crazy hand happened where Mike Nia was also at my table. This is an unbelievable table. Mike Nia had raised from early
Oh
position.
yeah, I saw his name in the coverage. Also,
Yeah,
what up, Patrick, in the coverage? Loved seeing your almost live vlogs in the Twitter verse there. So
yeah. What's up, Patrick?
okay.
Um, so I think Mike Nia raising from early position, we know he can be sometimes up to no good. And I had
Yeah.
Queen Jack of Hearts with about 15 bigs, and I wasn't really sure what to do here with this hand. It was very, very close. But I decided just to go for the jam, and then the player on the button wakes up with kings and jams. Nia gets out of the way. He had the king of clubs. I had Queen Jack of Hearts, and the flop came up ace nine, like five, all clubs. So I'm like drawing dead. I'm absolutely drawing dead. And I even got up and I was like, well, that's gonna be pretty hard for me to win. Everyone's like, yeah, that's pretty hard for you to win. Then the jack hits the turn. Everyone's like, oh. And then before I could even like react to it, another jack hits the river that wasn't a club and ended up like doubling on
That's
that hand,
just
which is like,
insane.
yeah, just absolutely insane. Um, Ended up moving to the next table, and this is when that Robert Rohr guy who won busted me from the tournament. So I actually made this mistake in the hand before. We ended up losing like a third of my stack because I meant to raise, but then I ended up like calling, but I put in the wrong denominations of chips. I ended up losing like a third of my stack, but it wasn't like that big of a deal. 2 hands later, I race with queens. Robert three bets me, and this is like under the gun. He threats three bets me from UTG one, and I had like 25 bigs. Folded around, and I jammed with queens, and he pretty much snap called with ace jack offsuit. So I think this is where I can tell that Robert was a good player. So I think that if he has no results, he must be an online player. But this feels like an online player with not enough live experience, because it's okay to three bet with ace jack in early position, but you have to fold to a jam if that jam is, say, over something like 12 or 13 bigs, probably, right? And he pretty much just snap called it off. So I think that he's probably used to players having too wide of a four bet range, and probably, finally, thank you for giving me credit for thinking that I would jam like way wider than queens there. He ended up flopping an ace and busting me from the tournament. I was a little bit annoyed, but having cracked that kings a little bit earlier, I guess all's fair in love and war.
Yeah,
And
right.
I'm glad that I
That
was
was
able
your
to,
borrowed time.
get a 27th place finish out of it. But yeah, it was a good series
Yeah, and of
overall, I
course,
think.
27th was the exact threshold you set
Just
for
yeah, I
more
need
points in your little
right.
in the competition. I noticed that you managed. You're like, oh, 27th, I can bust now.
Yeah, yeah.
How
It looks
lucky.
like James Pilpa is in the chat. What's up,
Yep,
James? Who
they've been trying to
final
figure
opinion?
out what's up with the satellites. We don't have any of our field reporters there. I think Frank may have finally taken a day off, and Jesse's down at the Gardens for the Memorial Day setup. So if anybody knows, hit them up in the chat, guys. I don't know the numbers. I don't think it's
Oh,
been
it's
reported unless you see it maybe in the Commerce blog, but I haven't seen any numbers about the satellites.
yeah, Patrick, it is on. Oh yeah, so you linked the right link for them. Okay, yeah, great,
Yep,
great.
yep. I sent them the
Yep.
link. So yeah, let's quick touch on our bet here. So we had interesting discussions in our thread, and I think this could be fun to do for all the series. We could start a thread for people to post up their results and brag a little, because it was kind of becoming a little bit fun to see Frank and Rob and Kathy come in and brag back and forth about what they're hitting and event posting results like that. So that was fun. I definitely think this could be something to do going forwards. I think by the numbers, by your original margin, by your original rules, I believe you win, right? I think I got 9 points and you've got
Yeah.
like 14 or something
Yeah, I
dumb.
think the 27th place finish
Yeah, that
kind of
pushes
wrapped it
you
up
over.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
technically, you win. You win. I'll wear the
I'll
hat.
bring.
We'll pick the day. We'll decide if it's when we're both there at the Monster, or if it's for the main or something. Get some pictures,
Yeah.
whatever.
I mean, we can get you wearing it at the Gardens this weekend. We can totally do that.
Hey, that wasn't the deal. We can negotiate, but you win the bet. But I think something interesting. This fella here is handles AK Sarben, but he is actually this fella, Thomas Sandusky, who is apparently big time involved in the Player of the Year point system and very involved in trying to structure payouts and whatnot. And he jumped in with his revamped Player of the Year systems and kind of gave us some examples of what it would look like if we used his system. And Rob and Frank and I, we liked it a lot better because under your system, Kathy wins because she won and no one can catch her. But under his system, I was way out in front of you, and it would have been way harder for you. I think I would have beat you under his system. So I definitely like his system a lot better.
Yeah.
But more importantly, his system may be the one they're using for the Player of the Year at the World Series this year. So he's pretty engaged here. I think what we would like to do is keep talking with him. Maybe we can have him on to explain things and talk to him about that sort of stuff. And I'm a little unclear, but I think he is open to helping us try and create like a LA Player of the Year kind of thing, or to help track and do a Player of the Year for that. So I thought that we would have to wait a little longer, but I think there's a chance we might be able to do a LA Poker Roundup, LA Player of the Year kind of thing. And that would be awesome. If we can do that, I think we should really look into that towards the end of the series. I think the poker year in my mind revolves around the World Series. So I think starting at the end of the World Series and ending it at the, with this Commerce Last Circuit event could be perfect.
Yeah, I love I love his system actually. It looks like really, I think it also, I'm not sure if it factors in buy-ins, but I almost just
it
feel
must.
like,
I think it must because he
yeah,
mentioned that every time. He said, okay, for this buy-in, for this many people, for this finish.
yeah. Because
Yep.
I think that's also basically what the card player one does. It did also factor in buy-in level. I just decided not to do it because again, it was for ease of use. But definitely, cashing in a high roller should count a little bit more than a gigantic. Even if
Right.
it's a gigantic field for 400, but then the gigantic field gets the multiplier for the entry. So I think it's nice to have all those things in there.
Yep. And I think the GPI uses buy-in and it caps at 10K. So anything bigger than 10K is the same GPI weighting or something like that. I think it's kind of like that. And there's a floor as well, like anything below whatever is all the same. So I think those are reasonable. Those are reasonable things to do. Yeah, so I think we will definitely revisit that. We'll definitely have to get back and chat some more with Thomas and see what we can do, because if he's willing to help us track players, because the two problems, right, with us doing that ourselves is we can pull the results and then just dump people into a spreadsheet, but then we need a scoring system, and then we need to keep that whole massive aggregate scoring system together. And if he's already got if he already has like a system, a calculator, a program to do that, he can help us out there. That'd be great.
Yeah, and we'd be happy to promote that thing on the pod constantly.
Mm-hmm. And then the only thing we'd have left to do is come up with some really awesome trophies. All right.
Yeah, for sure. And I haven't like updated any of the scoring, but I'm gonna go do that probably this week and then post what the ended up results were. I think Frank is probably gonna take it with all his
Yeah, I think
crazy.
based on your system, I think Frank definitely will. The only thing is like I think first place is just worth so much. She might still just win first, and then Frank will get second.
Yeah,
because he never got like a second place or a third place, right? So I think it's just we'll see it. We'll see the big reveal. Check us, follow Derek on Twitter. Follow us on Twitter.
Yeah.
We'll have the big announcement there for the people who are telling us, but I'm pretty sure that Kathy just wins and Frank gets a close second. All right.
Yeah, he needed to make up 52 points, so that maybe it is a little bit too much.
Yeah. That was the problem with your system. But since it was originally just going to be a ring bet, I mean, I was okay with it. All right, so let's just talk about and give some props. I mean, the whole headline, right? LA is back, right? We're back, baby. Aren't we?
We are back.
This is amazing.
Yeah,
everything we were hoping would happen when we got a big series like the circuit, it happened. I mean, the biggest real danger was that someone goes all in like this and it didn't work. But this is amazing. We had, as I said, with the main event, this is the largest circuit main event that I saw on that website, except for the Cherokee events. And really, the Cherokee events only beat us by like 20 to 50 entries. And this is only going to get bigger now that it's on the schedule.
Right.
With people being able to plan for this next year, it's going to be huge.
Yeah.
And
it was a little, I mean, obviously they still gave it enough time for people to kind of get that it was here, but they could have done it like way earlier, and that would have gotten a lot more people to come.
Yeah. Patrick says the series is amazing. I mean, the things we've been talking about, the GG coverage, like doing those streams, holy cow. And honestly, look, if you guys want to save a little money on the stream, you don't have to pay Brent and Hanks. Derek and I are here. We bust a lot. We're willing to help with the commentary, and
Yeah,
we
yeah,
know everybody here, right? But
yeah,
the coverage, the poker org guys, the poker news guys eventually showed up. I think the um, commerce and WSOP just having their own coverage around. Got so many eyeballs on this. Hellmuth in town, all the other pros and stars coming in.
yeah, yeah.
So great, and the numbers. I already talked about the main, the 1K, right? 412 entries. That was a single day one. 412 entries for the 1K in a single day one, right? The high roller also a single day one, right? 295 entries. I mean, holy cow! As you pointed out, the monster stack was a midweek thing that was over 1,000 entries across those 2 days, which were Monday and Tuesday day ones. Like that's crazy. And then this the one, yeah, I already mentioned the closer. Just this last day here was 522, and that was, I mean, it's a Wednesday. This is amazing.
Right. Right. Yeah, I mean to get like the 1Ks and the high rollers midweek weird schedules to get, and yes, sure, it's like immediately following the, so it's a little bit boosted, right? Because it was like right after a main, right before the TOC, everything's in town, but that's not an accident, right? The WSOP thinks very carefully about how they structure things in terms of like the days and the times. But these are massive, massive showings where you're talking about basically $1 million in total prize pool between the high roller and the 1K across, whatever that was, like 3 days.
Yeah, and
And
and for all of the people who are saying that the Tournament of Champions, no one wants to come, it's gonna be a failure, no one's gonna show up. The last time I checked, and registration, I believe, just closed, but the last time I checked, maybe an hour ago, we had 552 people entered in the Tournament
yeah,
of Champions, and
yeah,
I tell you what, less than 20 of them are from LA because we
right,
just
yeah.
don't get to play. So
But yeah, I think we all knew there was going to be a big showing for this. People are going to come. It's a bracelet. It's in LA. It's a really awesome place to visit. I think the loudest voices are always going to be the complainers, and they are probably a small percentage of the actual total voices, right? But they are very loud. So I think don't let them get you down. I mean, let me look at this. Like we've been talking about this forever. How important the WSOP and WPT are for the growth of poker. We have not had a $2 million prize pool, like a real one in a normal tournament in forever, right? I'm not counting the
probably since before COVID, right?
fake, like
Yeah,
the
not
fake
quantums.
2 million,
Yeah.
like the quantums with like the not really 2 million, right? Or 1.5 or whatever it is, and they obviously have like a bajillion starting days that kind of juice it up and all these crazy double bag bonuses and all that other stuff. Straight up main event, $1,700 buy-in, right? $2.2 million.
Yeah, we had over
This is
700 entries in the last day of the main event
right.
in a
This,
single
I mean,
day.
right, and um yeah, like this is how important it is. This is just how important it is, right? We're gonna go back to, I do hope that WSOP coming now, and hopefully more events at the Commerce, at least maybe hopefully at least one more circuit event at the Commerce. I would love to at least have one more during the rest of this year. But then if there's no WPT, it just feels like the WSOP and the WPT help set a little bit of higher watermark every single time.
Hmm.
But then when they disappear, we start to erode, and that's basically what happened during COVID. Is like things just started to sort of disappear and tail off. So this is really, really how important that like these operators are to our economy.
Yeah, I mean, and after seeing the success, I have to think the WPT's got to push just a tiny bit harder to try and get back in here. I mean, they
I
had
really hope
so
so.
many events here.
Yeah, and I was actually talking to Mike Nia, and he was saying that he thinks that WPT, or he heard that WPT charges like 150K per stop. I don't think that's like probably the right number. There has to be many hundreds of Ks, which is the only reason why the operators here would be like hesitant to bring them in, because you can obviously make up
Maybe,
150K with just like a
yeah,
$400 buy-in on a weekend, right?
maybe it's like
Um,
150K plus a percentage. I don't know. You know?
Yeah, whatever that number is, it doesn't. I mean, hopefully you can see. Like, like we should probably just go and sum up what the total like prize pool was across all of this. I'm going to tell
Oh,
you
I'm
that,
sure the Commerce will put that number out themselves,
right?
but yeah,
So, like in a 2 week super condensed series, which was a little bit last minute in announcing, is probably going to 1.5x, right? Like any
yeah.
series that we've had, and it probably even beats the LAPC that went for like a month and a half. So, yeah,
Yeah. So as far as all these amazing things that were going on, right? You and I, we did have some good runs, but unfortunately not in the marquee events. So we never
yeah,
got on the feature table. I think you were grateful about that. But
yeah,
I did have a chance. to get us a little bit of promotion. I mean, Kathy did great winning the event with our hoodie, but I was able to get somehow interviewed by Natalie. We have this podcast, LA Poker Roundup, and we have been talking for the past year about how crazy it was and how upset we are that we lost. We used to have ring events. They were gone a year ago. We used to have WPTs. Haven't had them in over a year and a half. Having this here is amazing. We actually interviewed Jack Effel and Ty Stewart on the opening flight of this, and we have been really trying to get the community excited. And for me, this is only like the 5th ring event I've ever played because they're just so hard to play in LA. So this is amazing. We're so excited. Yeah, so I was able to get us a little promo there. That was, I wasn't sure if that was because someone told, because she didn't really know about the show when we started the thing. I'm like, is this because of the podcast, the show? She's like, oh, no, it's just because you're playing. I'm like, is it because Deeb's at my table and it might be a secondary feature or something? I'm like, whatever, who cares? Let me put my sweater on. Let's go. So yeah, we got a little bit of love there. The roundup, I think we were able to benefit from this coming in too. We are starting to hit our stride. I feel like right at the right time. So that's great. We're
It was interesting because I saw like kind of Cairo and Wayne kind of going around pointing us out, making sure that every time Cairo saw me, he's like, "That's Derek from the Poker Roundup." I just feel like it wasn't really sticking with like some of the WSOP GG people. So I think this is probably why they kind of didn't like know us super well. But
well, if Jack and Ty had stayed around, then we would have been, we'd have been a bigger deal, because they would remember. He'd be asking us where his hoodie was all week.
All right, that's true. Yeah, we gotta get him a hoodie.
Yeah, what did he want? An XXL, XL?
I think might have to get at least an XXL. He's a big dude.
But on that coverage, man, that coverage was so much fun. So great to see all of the locals, all the local legends up there playing, and some people took a minute to get used to Hanks and to Brent and Jeff kind of roasting our players. They were pretty on top of some of our locals, but you got to think big picture, guys. That was actually the best thing.
Advertising.
Yeah, that was the best thing they could have said. This is from the chat from one of these days, from the I think this was maybe the day 1B or day 1A. Watching the stream, Mr. Jeremy Becker's watching the stream from Vegas, and he's just like, even with that tax, I might just have to come down, because what I'm watching and what I'm hearing you guys say, he can't resist, right? These grinders just can't resist. They need to come in and fire. And not only that, when I was watching this same one, I saw, I think, Ebony Kenny came down to play as well, and I don't think she was planning on it. I think she was just watching the stream, was like, that's it, I'm booking a last-minute flight. Which day should I come, guys?
I've made this joke before. Like, it's like when the Napoons and the Peter Hexagles like moved out of LA to Vegas, they left us with this like little secret, like the best kept secret in the world, because we have some of the loosest creative poker players, tournament players, probably anywhere. So now I think the cat's out of the bag. We put it up publicly on the GG poker streams, and now everybody knows how people play here. And I think we're gonna get a lot more people coming to visit.
Bring it in. See if you can beat us, man. We got the numbers. We got the home field advantage. We welcome it. Bring your money. So the other thing that really made it feel like, this really felt like, to me, a great warm up, like a real mini World Series. With the coverage around, with the stars around, with all the extra added press and whatnot. And we haven't had that here since before I started playing tournaments, probably since LAPC was the biggest WPT on the schedule, probably since that sort of thing. It was, and then they were really pulling out all the stops. I mean, they brought in Hellmuth, and they didn't just, obviously he mentioned on interview, I don't know if he should have done that, but he mentioned on interview with Natalie that there was a contract. They did, obviously we knew that, but like there was a contract for him to come and do all this promotional stuff. And he was just doing other great stuff around though, just really, promoting himself, promoting the World Series. He just randomly here, this person, I don't think her first name's in here, but her handle's Hollywood, and she was just saying she was in line, first time she's ever played a World Series poker tournament of any kind, and Phil Hellmuth, after he has to take a picture, just bought her in.
Yeah,
like what the heck?
Awesome guy. I mean, I think people give Phil Hellmuth a lot of shit, but he is amazing for poker. He's great at just like people. Like, yeah, sometimes he blows up the table because he gets like short-tempered, but overall he's an amazing ambassador and seems to really care about people.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely give him shit about the way he acts at the table, but it does seem from everyone's account and from this kind of stuff, like he's just super generous off the
Yeah.
table.
Yeah.
So, and
Yeah.
speaking of generous, one of the promo things he did was bust me on day 1A and
Yeah.
get yourself a $5,000 bounty.
Who's this fella?
Well, here's some footage here. Look at this. We've
I
got
do believe we have a
ace queen,
three-way
sevens,
all-in.
and
With sevens against ace queen
there's
against
Phil
Hellmuth's
with ace
ace
five. And look at that. Not Elvin Bayo, I believe.
Hellmuth is
Another one of the Bayo brothers, one of the local grinders here.
It's aces
And
and deuces.
that ace
with
queen
the
is looking good on that
queen.
board, and here it comes right out of his wallet.
No.
Can I take a picture?
$5,000.
In
what
cash,
a
And
right
Phil
out of
tells
his
him to
pocket,
count it
just
right on
like
the
he
table.
said.
Pulls 5K out and just gives it to him. But yeah, like that's what I mean. He's just so great for poker, and I feel like how many people made sure they fired 1A just to shot at that 5K bounty, right?
Seriously.
And look, and he's just super generous, taking a picture. He's
And
really
he
good for poker.
chucks it in there with the ace five off. He's just giving it away. Let's go.
Yeah.
Oh, Patrick said he was at that table. I missed it in the clip. Sorry, man. But yeah, Patrick saw it firsthand. You took a shot at the bounty. They weren't able to get it, but that's awesome. And Jay Cheng, we talked about our mains. My main went bad. I was dealt out for 2 days and just didn't go anywhere. And Derek, he was just running awful. So the main was not for us.
Yeah.
Yep, the main was not for us. So yeah, that's awesome. Not only that, so the other things is that the Commerce Pro team, every week it seems like they pop up new things for that pro team, new benefits. So this week, in between the main event and the Tournament of Champions coverage, they just randomly threw in some more free rolls for those guys. They had these sit and goes with Hellmuth and with Jamie Gold, Jamie being the coach of the team, and they would have these 7-person sit and goes, turbo sit and goes. I think it was 10-minute levels, where 5 guys from the pro team would play those 2, and the winner of each sit and go would win money, like maybe $5,000, and then the winners from all of those sit and goes played again against them, and the winner of that got, I think, $10,000. So like, so awesome, just random free money for this promo. It just keeps going and going and going. Like, and then, and we've heard from, I'm trying to remember. One of Jamie Gold's interviews with Natalie, he mentions that they're thinking of doing even more stuff, such that some of the best performing or the best pros on the team may get an opportunity to play. I think he mentioned like overseas, so they may continue the sponsorship beyond what was outlined in the contest details.
Yeah,
so
that
that's
is awesome.
great.
I mean, take the best of the batches. Take our Lukes and our Rudies, right? Bring them over there because those guys can perform anywhere you plop them.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Like, that's going to be a great, that's actually going to drive people away from LA, but it's fine. It'll get the name on the map, and it'll get LA people more fired up to want to do that and become that, right?
Yeah.
So that's really cool. Congratulations to Elvin for getting the bounty. Congratulations to everyone on the pro team for getting shots at that money. I haven't watched all the sit and goes, so I'm not sure who won them all. Hopefully we know Rudy didn't win his one, right? But hopefully someone else got it that we know. All right. So the other big thing, right, that we noticed right away in one of the early events in the housewarming was these new payout structures.
Yeah.
These new payout structures. And it's no joke, especially compared to the payouts we usually get here in LA, right? So here in LA, what we're used to is either a 10% payout or a 12.5%, 1 and 8% payout, right? Typically, the 1 and 8 payout isn't quite double. It'll be like, let's say you bought into a $500 tournament. There's a $100 rake. 12.5 typically would get you maybe like a $850 and $900 type of cash, and then a 10% would usually get you that full double, like a 1100 min cash or something, right? But at the World Series, you get 15% cash, right? And historically, correct me if I'm wrong, but 15% cash at the World Series was typically on the low end of 1.5. So if it was that same,
1.5x.
if it's that same 500 buy-in, it might be like 800 or 750 kind of min cash, right? So that's that. I mean, it's 15%. But when they put the payouts on the board for the housewarming, the min cash was double. Housewarming buy-in was 600. Min cash was like 1220. I thought that was a typo. I'm like, that can't be right. They're paying 15% of the field. How can min cash get 1220? Well, it's right. It's right. And if you look, the first place prize. So, and this is how it really differs from LA people. So, the top prize this tournament, $600 buy-in, 500K guarantee is almost exactly the same as from those numbers as the Memorial Day tournament at the Gardens last year that I won, and the prize pool and the size was about the same. The first prize in this tournament was over 120 grand. It was like 124 maybe, and the first prize in the housewarming was 105. So that's a significant difference from LA kind of top heavy payouts, from Gardens top payouts, and apparently as compared to the old payout structure for World Series, like from last year or from earlier series, this payout would have been maybe 116, 117 or something. So, man, this is a big change. What do you think, Derek?
I think it's important to note that a lot of the things that the World Series of Poker does is, I'm going to say, the correct way to do things, even if we don't all agree about the little details. It's because almost everything they do is trying to, I guess, accommodate to amateurs and make it a better experience for them. And when you do that, this is actually how you grow the game of poker. You grow the game of poker by trying to attract new players, making it like more interesting and fun for them to play. And then this is how your prize pools keep getting bigger and bigger. You keep getting more players. So the WSOP, from the way that they interpret the rules all the way to the way they do payouts, are trying to do that, right? Like, I finished 9th in a 1K tournament that had 400 plus runners, and I got 6K. It's crazy, right? 6x my money on a field that big. And then in the high roller, a min cash was 4,400, but finishing 10th was like 8,600, right? 2x from a min cash was what you got for all the way getting to 10th place.
Yeah.
So obviously you have to make trade-offs somewhere. So it's coming from the top, it's coming from the middle, especially going deep.
And from the monster stack, same thing, real quick. So that was a 10,000. That was a 1,000 person field, right? And I got 10th place, and I got about 8.5 buy-ins back for 10th place in a 1,000 person field, right? So
yeah, like this hurts for people who are adept at deep tournament poker strategy, ICM. You know how to navigate your way, right? Like I feel like at this point I'm getting to the point where if I get into a day 2 or a day 3 with a halfway decent stack and I'm not super short, I almost expect to finish top 18 or close to the final table because I'm just able to navigate those fields like super well. So obviously these new payout changes are basically, it's almost like we kind of get a little bit punished for being able to have the skill edge to go and do that. But what this does, though, is it gives the 15% allows more people to cash. So now it's easier for you to cash. And on top of that, when you do cash, you're getting freaking 2x, right?
Yeah.
So like this is obviously like trying to accommodate to amateurs. And if this is the new normal, I don't think we're going to love it because the top gets shaved off. The late finishes get shaved off. It feels like you did a lot of work for very little, financial accomplishment. But if this leads to us getting 25, 50% bigger prize pools, right, you're going to make up for that money by just having bigger prize pools and softer fields. So, yeah.
Yeah. And, you make a good point. I noticed the exact same thing, same kind of reason, because I got that 10th place as well, and I was looking and thinking, somebody, Ella here on Twitter, kind of did some analysis or tried to do some comparisons here between what a theoretical payout structure would look like, the old way and the new way, and we see just what you're saying. So for me, the biggest change, right, was taking more money off the first place, and I love it. I definitely think money should come off first place from almost all the traditional structures that are out there. The answer, as you were saying, is what do we do with that money, right? And as you stated, the World Series answer is let's spread it along the bottom, right? Yep. And I think that is genius for what they represent and what they want to do, right? So they have a very long summer series where people need to stay in action. You need to get your 2 buy-ins back so that you can fire them into the next event and the next event and the next event. And like you said, this World Series is the most aspirational, most rec heavy, this is on people's bucket list. They want to play World Series events. Right. It's not on people's bucket list to come play the other series as much, right? So cashing means a lot. Cashing bigger, the small amount means more, and it's going to be a better experience for those people. And Where it hurts is in those break even to low ROI pros, kind of the serious amateurs like us, right? Or the guys who are like you said, the ones who they usually, when we cash, we don't min cash, but you don't always win because you can't. It's hard to win, right? And then
Yep.
by taking the top end off, it kind of hurts the pros as well because that one time you come through, you don't make up for all of those
Right.
smaller middlings, right? So this
Yeah.
is definitely caters to the bottom while still being good for the top because the top prize is still good though. And with the massive, massive fields the World Series gets, especially in the summer,
Yeah.
that top prize is still just eye-wateringly big, even with cutting
Right.
some off, right? So that still gives you the dream, and then it keeps you in action. It just doesn't let you kind of really profit big, like
Yeah,
it's
it
consistently big, right? So it lets you
doesn't.
let you come for the
It
dream,
doesn't.
let you come for the lottery ticket and the bracelet, and it lets you keep buying in, but it doesn't let you kind of eat like day to day, right?
Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't obviously doesn't reward your skill edge as much anymore. But let's just say that even outside the World Series, everybody did this. I do wonder if you would grow player pools everywhere, even locally in LA, right? What happens if we did go 15% and 2x min cash, right? Would a lot more people come out? Probably. Would every single reg complain? Of course they will. But you know what? If this again grows the player pools every year by 10, 20% and we keep growing and it sticks, you know what? You're going to make up for your 6x cash at a ninth or 10th place finish is going to be more money than it was before, right? And plus, you have a better chance of getting there because the fields are softer. So this is why I think we should just be a little bit open, right, to these things. I personally don't love the changes where I'm just like, seriously, did I just fight all the way to 9 to get 6K?
Yeah.
But like it is what it is.
Yeah, and if you look, it's not much worse for those spots, but it is worse. And
Yeah.
even before, we were kind of complaining like, oh, these deep runs aren't rewarded enough. So to make them a little worse kind of stings a little more for those. Like if you look at this particular payout structure, right? If there were, this is for 1,700 runners, and if you get 10th place or you get 12th place, you get 12th place here, you get 12 buy-ins. Like 12th place out of 1,700 runners. In the old system, you get 12 and a half buy-ins, right? So it's really not worse, but
Yeah.
in the old system, getting 12th place and getting 12 and a half buy-ins out of 1,700 people, that did kind of feel a little bad, right? So
Right.
in my mind, I almost wonder if this could be a way to differentiate the series and the different, this could be another way to differentiate things. Like let's say that the World Series keeps this very low-end friendly and top-end aspirational kind of structure where the middle's kind of like, it's like, you made the money, cool, nothing really matters unless you win. But making the money is a great experience. Whereas maybe like the WPT, maybe their calculator could still take a bunch off the top one or two places, which, because I still think those are I personally think those are still too high in most instances. But instead of paying the 15, maybe they I don't know what they pay. Say they pay 12 and a half. They kind of leave the bottom where it is, and they start filling that extra money in more in the middle, in the meat, right? So then you could have the World Series being like 15% pay. You're going to get your buy-ins back. You're going to be in action a while. You get to do all this cool stuff, and you can win bracelets. And the WPT is like, we reward you for learning how to play these other parts of the game, the middle parts of the game. We let you make a living more, right? So maybe.
I think that is like sort of the savage way, but you know what? Like I think it's important that we, everyone does experiment with these things because I think my thesis is that big, sexy, top heavy first place prize money attracts a lot of people to come out. Like sometimes you even hear like sometimes these amateurs who have absolutely no shot right at getting that first place.
Also,
are a
shout
little
out to
bit
James or Jim. We got Jim Sandusky in the chat. He heard what we said. He said, "Let's do it. Let's work together on this Player of the Year thing."
Awesome. What's up, buddy? Yeah, so you even hear some amateurs like when they see a first place prize that was a little bit lower than what they expected, they sound disappointed in it. So I do think that that big first place prize pool does, or first place prize payout does get a lot of people out there.
Sure,
So
but
let's just see what happens if you do lower the top prize and then start flattening out the structures and then also 2xing the min caches. Does that actually get more people out there? Because again, it doesn't matter what we feel. It's just what leads to growth.
sure, but I guess 100K, 105K for that opener. I mean, that still feels pretty big, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
And also another good point I'll make here though is that the way that it's not just that they punished, like the top like 1/3 of finishes, but they actually flattened it out a lot where there were less pay jumps and the
Yep.
pay jumps weren't as meaningful.
Yep.
And that was super nice,
For
right? Like
sure.
the bubble felt very pressury because it was like, oh, we're trying to get to that 2x. But then after that, there wasn't really that much incentive to just sit there and try to like wait. So
Yeah.
then people just sort of played poker, right?
Yep.
I like that a
The
lot
pay
too.
jump were definitely handled nicely and in a better way because
Yeah.
that had been a complaint. And we didn't get a chance to ask that question during our interview with Jack and Ty
Yeah.
because Jamie popped in and took up a whole bunch of time
He
near
did.
the end there.
That dude's a talker, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I wonder if we would have got a preview of the payout structure, or we would have gotten a clue that they were different if we had had a chance to ask that, because that was
Yeah.
on the list of
Yep.
questions you're going to ask if they
Yeah,
could,
it was.
why don't you pay fewer pay jumps near the low end because it's just logistically silly and no one cares about
Right.
$20, right? But
Right.
but this was our answer. We got our answer.
Yeah. Yeah, and even as we were getting down to near the final table, there weren't even that many pay jumps, and it was like I remember I had made this jam and I left myself one chip, and then that Australian pro jammed over me, and then I kind of joked that I could not call, even though I was getting like 1 billion to 1 and there were no pay jumps, and then Michael kind of looked at me like, "Are you being serious?" And I
Oh
was
yeah,
like,
and speaking of locals having an amazing series, Mike freaking triple final tables, right?
yeah.
Way
And
to
that
go,
dude,
Mike. So
man,
shout out,
yeah,
Mike.
another
Sorry we missed you earlier.
another sick player, but yeah, he was at my table, very, very short stacked, actually at that 1K, and he was able to just navigate past me, disappointingly, to an 8th place finish. And what's up, Wayne? Wayne in chat.
Oh, great. Great.
Yeah, great job. With all the stuff that was going on, with the streams with GG Poker and everything. So yeah, awesome job, man.
Yeah, they were calling you what was it? It was like workaholic Wayne or workhorse Wayne or something. Yeah. This guy was working his butt off. So way to go, Wayne. Thank you so much for all the hard effort, and I'm sure you're still in there working your butt off for the rest of the TOC.
Yeah.
All right. So we will definitely keep an eye on this new payout structure. We'll try and keep gathering opinions on it. And with Jim in the chat, I was talking with Derek before the show started. We were thinking maybe one day you'd want to come on and explain explain your Player of the Year system, or explain what you know about the payout structures and whatnot. We have a good chat about that one day.
Yeah, for sure, man. It seems like you're super knowledgeable about the industry in general, but definitely very knowledgeable about the proper way to do, payouts and
sure.
Player of the Year type of things. So yeah.
Okay. So with that, we will keep our eye on that. We will keep talking about it and comparing all the structures going forward. But I think it is time for our weekly roundup. All right. Quick shout out from Wayne. The Live at the Commerce will be returning on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday of, I'm guessing, next week, since it's Wednesday right now. So they will be back. They will be back, and we'll be looking forward to it. And some of your regs like Jared and Mr. Magoo have a bit more money to throw around. So let's get them in there. Let's get them to share the wealth.
Yeah, hopefully me and Ty get a little bit of free time to come back on and do an announcing, because we'd had a lot of people come out for our episode,
Yep.
and we had a really good time.
So if there's a weekend that the World Series is going on, we're not up there. There are fewer series going on in LA, so we may have more time. So what is going on here in LA right now? So obviously we've been talking all about it. The Tournament Champion is happening. Unfortunately, you can't go play that unless you were invited, but they are having satellites for the main event, the World Series main, during the Tournament Champions. So tomorrow at 2 o'clock and Friday at 2 o'clock, they will be having $1,200 entries for mega satellites for the main event. And that includes a main event seat and then an extra $1,000 for travel if you qualify on one of those. So that is what's going on at the Commerce if you are not playing in the Tournament of Champions. Now, the other big thing that is happening this weekend, and it started today, Jesse's actually down there right now, he says they just hit the final table in the morning event, I believe, is that the Gardens has a Memorial Day week-long series happening. Kicked off today with a 50K guarantee right here. They smashed that right away, and then a Monster Stack Turbo happened at 4. So tomorrow, there is a Deep Stack with a 25K guarantee, $250 buy-in, and a Mystery Bounty Milestone Satellite into the main event. And these are super duper fun, guys, and it looks like 1 in 4 is going to get in, so it shouldn't be as hard to hit the milestone as usual. 110 buy-in for that. They're guaranteeing 20 seats, and for those of you who have not played a satellite at the Gardens, I highly recommend it. It's super duper fun. I'm guessing for this, based on the buy-in, that you get 4 starting stacks to get your seat. And then once you are close to the end, I think like 12% or something, they whip out the mystery bounties. And everyone you knock out, you get a mystery bounty that either says Zoink or or Zap or something, or you get a seat.
We
and
love
that's how you
Kevin.
get in.
We'll love Kevin forever.
Yeah. And then this weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So on Friday, these are all day ones for the main event, a $300K guarantee, $400 buy-in, which basically was pretty close to the closer event here, which got like 500 in a day. So I'm guessing this event is going to absolutely smash. It says 300K guarantee. I wouldn't be surprised if it's like 450 for the prize pool after all is said and done. They're having a flight at 11 a.m., and then they're going to have a turbo flight at 4 p.m. Then on Saturday, same thing, flight 11 a.m., turbo flight at 4. And then Sunday, just a flight at 11 a.m., I'm guessing to give staff and everybody time to do the bags and relax for a minute. On Memorial Day itself is the day 2 of that event, along with a $560 buy-in super knockout bounty, which is like like the bounty multiplier. It is the event where you buy in. There are no bounties until you hit the money, but once you hit the money, everybody who is left is worth $1,000 as a bounty. So that's
Nice.
cool. It has a 100K guarantee. That's going to be a great event. It's going to be really big. I can see it already. I hope I am deep in the Memorial Day 2, but if not, that will be super fun because I have a title to defend. I'm a little upset that they made the event smaller this time. It was 500K with a $600 entry last year, but maybe they're worried that people will have some fatigue after this circuit. But I think this is going to smash. I think this will get well over 400K prize pool, maybe 450, maybe 500 if they're really lucky. But I think 400 something is probably where it's going to hit.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be riding the high of that Commerce WSOP series right before the World Series of Poker. So people kind of want to continue to get their tune-ups. So I think, this is going to be, and obviously, the 3-day weekend, so it's going to be awesome.
Yeah. Over here at the Hollywood Park, they are not to be outdone. They will be having a 50K Memorial Day special on Monday. So this will be actually really interesting because typically when Hollywood Park does its big weekend event, it really has no competition. It's usually on like the day 2 of a quantum or the day 2 of some event where there's really no other event going on. Here, they're going to have to compete with that super bounty, and there's some other events going on that they'll have to compete with as well. But Monday, they'll be having a 50K guarantee, $360 buy-in tournament, and then their other kind of regular weeklies are happening. It looks like this 8K guarantee deep stack's a little unusual for their Tuesday, so take a look at that. Some of the details for the Memorial Day one there is here. You get a complimentary hot dog and potato chips, so I mean,
Nice.
That's it right there. Talk about value.
I mean, inflation right now, that hot dog is probably worth like $5-6. So
yeah. Well, hey, Commerce is only charging $4 for the dogs, weren't they? So
hey, you know what? They had this thing, steak and eggs, in their menu that was $9.99, and I was like, oh, that's a typo. That's you didn't mean that.
I saw there's a poster for that.
Yeah, so I actually went to the Commerce yesterday, and I was like, this is really steak and eggs. You're going to give me steak and eggs for $9.99. So I got it. And it wasn't like the best cut of meat or anything, but freaking steak and eggs are $9.99. It's like the Commerce food is in some other like, inflation busting little enclave.
Yeah, no, Commerce, big props on the way they handled food. We were worried about the logistics of that, but they were getting the orders out. The food was high quality for that kind of delivery stuff for sure. And the grab and go stuff was decently priced. So major props. Decent, like the pizza was like okay pizza for $2 a slice, unlike the bike is $4 a slice for that same pizza, and they brought their hot dog price down by a good $2, and it was and happy hour. I mean happy hour. I was drinking during these tournaments because happy hour from 4 to 8 was just so good. $3 beers, $3 bottles,
like shrimp noodle was like $15. I mean, it's unbelievable prices, like nothing you can find anywhere. Honestly, and the food's like not bad.
Yeah, it was actually it was very acceptable. We're used to complaining about the food big time everywhere in LA, but this was nice.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So the other events happening this weekend, Memorial Day. Lucky Lady has its 20K guarantee stacked Saturday happening on Saturday this weekend. So that is their double stack with 20K guarantee, which is twice the regular guarantee. On Monday, on Memorial Day, they're doing their bad beat blocker tournament, which I don't have the details for, but what I've heard is that Bad Beat Blockers has been adding a little extra to the prize pool, a little maybe a World Series buy-in or a little some sort of package for the winner. So you'll have to ask them about that. And then more importantly, starting next week, May 31st, Lucky Lady will have a series happening, the Lucky Lady Summer Kickoff. So what this kickoff is kind of for the people who are staying home and not going to the World Series or World Series a little out of their price range. This is a great little series. They will be starting on the 31st. They have some one-day events. They have a 30K guarantee on Saturday, the June 1st, and then the following weekend they have a 50K heater. That is a multi-day event that ends on Saturday as the day 2. So that's a 335. I don't know why they didn't make Sunday the day 2, but it's a low buy-in and 50K guarantee, so that's good. And then the following week, the week of 6/11 through 6/16, they're having a 100K guarantee tournament with only $235 buy-in, and it looks like they have a bagging bonus. So that's going to be a nice little event for people hanging out around town. Very good value.
What's interesting is I think I saw somewhere in social media that the Bad Beat Blocker guys got acquired.
Did they? Oh, cool.
Do you see that? Yeah.
By
So congrats
Lucky
to
Lady
Cedric
or
on-
by?
I have no idea.
We'll have to look
I
that
think
up.
I just saw some announcement, or
Cool.
yeah, hopefully I didn't imagine it, but
Yeah.
yeah. So congrats to Cedric if you had
For
a nice
sure.
little exit there. Yeah.
Absolutely. Congrats. Yeah. I mean, I love that logo. But yeah, this event, unfortunately, Derek and I won't be able to play that 100K guarantee because it is the same weekend as not the Mega Stack. What do they call it? The
Monster Stack.
Monster
I think it's
Stack.
Monsters.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we'll be in Vegas for the Monster Stack. I'll be wearing my I Love Derek hat. And
I'm gonna give it to you this weekend. Actually, I want you to take a picture of it. You don't have to wear it, but we'll
all
take a
right,
picture.
all right. But yeah, that's a good one. Now, I don't know if they've changed it for this. Personally, I think the structures at Lucky Lady could use a little work for the post buy-in or the post registration time. But it's hard to argue when it's a $230 tournament with a 100K guarantee. So. Yep.
Yeah, I mean that seems it's awesome. I think sometimes we get spoiled by so many different options around town, like all the time. So at your local casinos, but yeah, we were hopefully this WSOP thing that happened at the Commerce really just kickstarts a little poker boom here in LA.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were already on a little one, but let's go.
Yeah, that's good.
Let's go. All right. Well, that's all I've got for you this week, guys. That is what's happening this weekend. You will find Derek. Well, you'll find me down at the Gardens. Now that Derek actually final tabled something at the Gardens, I think we can convince him to go again. So you're probably going to find us down there. Yeah. I'm hoping I don't have to go anywhere else. But I guess if I bagged up right away, maybe you'll find me over at Lucky Lady or something on Saturday. But
And you are a grinder. I love taking my days off, but you are a grinder.
days off. What are those? All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for everyone that we saw out there at the circuit event at the Commerce. Thanks to everyone who said hi. Some folks coming up telling us they enjoy the show, getting some pictures, getting more subs. I think I got us some Canadian subs. I got us some international subs, I think, Derek. I was out there doing work.
Nice.
I was out there doing work, handing out cards. It was great.
We're starting our internationalization kick already. Nice.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, we've got Jim Sandusky in the chat. We're gonna have to keep chatting and work out something where we can talk about this in more detail. This is definitely the right guy to talk to. So thanks, guys. Have a great week. If you're still playing in something like Jesse may be still playing down at the Gardens, good luck. And we are gonna see you over there at the Gardens. So we'll see you at the tables, guys.
Keep the tables, everyone.